I've had so many people reach out to me recently asking me how was I doing in 2020, especially as a content creator. With the inability to get out and film or create content, sometimes it can be really hard to even get motivated to get going. I think this is when it's best to try something completely new, and that's exactly what I did with testing out the Panasonic S5. I was a little hesitant at first because I've never shot with Panasonic, but then it hit me. This is exactly what I need. Something new, something completely different to anything I've ever experienced or shot with before. So I grabbed my bag, a couple lenses, and set out to go film. And here's that experience.
Time of my life, everything is going alright. Ooh, I just made them look twice. This is how it feels when you living that good life. I'm just living that good life. I'm just living that good life. I'm just living that good life. I'ma do me, I can't do it no different. Gold shades saying, yeah, I got the right.
What's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here, and if you're brand new to the channel, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button because this channel is all about filmmaking gear, tips, and tutorials. And in today's video, we are taking a look at the Panasonic S5. This is probably one of these sleeper cameras that have come out recently that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about. Now, I'll be honest, this is my first Panasonic camera to ever review on this channel and really to ever shoot with, but I was very surprised with just how much power this little camera is packing. The Panasonic S5 is their full frame 4K up to 60 frames per second shooting mirrorless camera. This camera, as far as for cinematographers goes, is actually a killer deal. Coming in at just under $2,000, this camera absolutely surprised me with all the specs that this thing has in it. A couple of things that I absolutely loved about this camera was first, all of the video-centric features that this camera had in it. You're looking for histograms, you got it. Focus peaking, it's in there. Zebras, yeah, it's all in here. All of this in a nice mirrorless camera. These are things that you typically only see in like higher end cinema cameras, but you're getting all those things in this nice compact design. On top of that, this thing is full frame and it shoots 4K. Now you can get 4K at up to 24 or 30 frames per second in that full frame mode. And if you want to go 4K 60, it is a slight crop in on the sensor, but it's really cropping to something closer to like Super 35, which is something that I'm actually really familiar with and really doesn't bother me that much. Now, although this is not a full review, I do also want to touch on one other really interesting feature about this camera that I really fell in love with, and that is the fact that this thing has built-in in-body stabilization, or IBS. The IBS on this camera is absolutely amazing. I actually found myself wanting to shoot with this thing more so handheld because it was just one less thing I had to worry about carrying around. I mean, not having to worry about a gimbal, but still being able to pull off very smooth shots really allowed me to keep my camera kit much smaller, but also allowed me to get more versatile shots with this camera. On top of that, this thing has a dual native ISO, which if you don't know what that means, pretty much it just means that there are 2 ISO points where you're gonna get super clean images. You're gonna get that if you're shooting in the log format at 640 ISO and 4000 ISO. Now, this is really big, especially when shooting in low light. See, when it comes to lightweight small cameras like this, I find myself in low light situations quite regularly. And so having a camera that has a dual native ISO, especially one that's up there in the 4000 range, really helps when it comes to being able to capture low light. Now, yes, I did mention that this thing is a 4K camera. However, this thing does actually pack one other small thing underneath the hood, and that is the fact that this thing actually supports outputting to 5.9K RAW. That's right. If you have a Ninja 5 recorder, you can actually output ProRes RAW from this thing via the HDMI port on the side and get raw images at 5.9K. That's absolutely amazing as far as I'm concerned. Again, we're talking about a camera that comes in at just shy of $2,000. This obviously has been my first experience with the Panasonic camera, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, having a camera that kind of motivates you to want to get out and to film, whether that's to get around your own city or just go out and create, is super important, especially in times like this. And I'm really happy that I was able to test out this camera, because sometimes it's just trying something new, something that you've never done before, which is all the motivation you need in order to get out and create. And that's my challenge to you guys. Get out and create, but try something new. Maybe for you, that's testing out the Panasonic S5 for yourself, or maybe that's doing something completely new and foreign to you in the creative realm. But this was just my quick take on this camera. Let me know what you guys think down below in the description. Have you shot with this camera? Have you been looking for ways to get out and create something new? But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Thank you, Panasonic, for sending out the camera, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.